We have another publisher spotlight, and today we're going to talk about Kensington Books. Now, Kensington is a privately owned publisher based out of New York City, and they publish a lot of different genres. They do romance, they do historicals, they do westerns, but mostly they're known for doing a fantastic job of publishing an enormous amount of cozy mysteries, and they do them very well. So they do them so well that they actually were named, I think it's the Ripped Bodice bookstore in LA, as being one of the most diverse publishers out there. They do a really great job of having diverse characters in their books and also of seeking out diverse authors. So super excited to talk about some super amazing cozies, I know I said super a lot, coming out later this year in 2021. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa, author of the Frosted Misfortunes Cozy Mystery Series, and on this channel we talk all about mysteries, whether those are TV shows, movies, or books, and there might be a cute little kitty cat video in there as well. So if this sounds like you or something you might be interested in, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. I post new videos every Tuesday. Now, these are by no means an exhaustive and complete list of all of the books that are coming out this year from Kensington. I just tried to pick out about 8 books that I saw were coming out in the future that kind of looked interesting, and I wanted to check them out. Now, fair disclosure, some of these are middle of the series, they're not the beginning of the series, and I actually haven't read any of these. So I'm all about, I think you guys have seen, if you have not friended me yet, 100% go to Goodreads right now and friend me below. I think my total count as of today when I'm filming this in mid-April is 82 books for this year. I am 100% hardcore dedicated to reading more books. I haven't made it a priority in the past, and I think last year I read a total of 11 books. And and since I switched over to audiobooks as well, it has helped a lot. And I've been discovering so many great books that are out there that I could have been reading all along. So let's talk about this list today. The first book we have is Buried by the Sea, which is by Kathleen Bridges, and it's number 5 in the By the Sea mysteries. It is actually already out. It came out April 13th. Now, what was cute about this is there's 2 parrots on the cover. They look adorable, and they can talk. And so her family owns a hotel in Florida, which is why it's called By the Sea. And so there's an archaeology team that's digging around, and one of the archaeologists turns up dead, and he's been poisoned with a poison-tipped spear. I love poison books. So very excited about this one. This is a book that has both a little bit of history with the archaeologists and a lot of fun with the talking parrots. The next one is Whole Latte Murder, which I think you're supposed to say a whole lot of murder. It's like a play on words. It's by Lena, Gregory, and this is number 5 in the All Day Breakfast Cafe series. So it's about a woman who starts out in New York City, but her husband is kind of like Bernie Madoff. He scams a bunch of people, so she just escapes and runs off with her best friend to Florida, and her best friend is Savannah. So we're all the way into book 5, and Savannah is getting married, and so they're out looking for wedding dresses, but then Savannah just turns up missing. Now, she is a real estate agent, and I think this is like a big fear of like a lot of real estate agents. She just goes missing, and her car is there at this bigwig client's house, and so she's trying to find her, and then of course the client is there and he's dead. So everyone is worried. It's a little bit of a murder mystery plus a, I guess, kidnapping mystery. Now, this one comes out today, the day of this video, on April 27th. The next one is Death of an Irish Mummy by Katie Murphy. Now, Katie Murphy's other pen name is C.E. Murphy. She used to write urban fantasy, so you might have read her back then. I feel like I read her book maybe 20 some years ago or 25 years ago, and I didn't even know she wrote cozy mysteries, and quite honestly, totally forgot. So this is number 3 in the Dublin Driver series, and this is about a woman who is a driver for a Leprechaun limo service in Ireland, and I was excited because I really like their other series, the Irish Village Mystery series by my friend Carleen O'Connor. Those are amazing. So I thought it'd be fun to read another Irish mystery. Now, this one is actually about an American that comes over to Ireland. She is being driven by the main character, and she thinks she's the heiress to some huge estate in Ireland and the direct descendant of Irish royalty. And so she's going to the church to check on, that's why it's called a mummy, an old I guess, mausoleum to see if she can get a DNA sample to see if she is, in fact, a direct heir. She ends up getting killed, and then her two daughters also come over to see if they can claim the prize as well. So this seems to be all about money. And Death of an Irish Mummy comes out June 29th. The next one is Railroaded for Murder by J.C. Eaton, and this is number 8 in the Sophie Kimball mysteries. This one comes out on August 24th, so it's plenty of time for you to read the first 7 books in the series, because in this one, the main character is getting married, so you might want to know how the romance builds up before then. But this is a woman who was a clerk, I believe, in the Minnesota Police Department, so she wasn't actually like on the force, and then she came to Arizona to help her grandmother out because her grandmother lives at one of those retirement communities, so not a nursing home, but one of those 55 plus areas, and her book club members were all starting to mysteriously disappear, and she came down to help them figure that out, and that was the first book. And then it sounds like she just ended up staying, and again, because I haven't read any books, I'm not sure, but this one sounds really funny. So the book club women are all like Jessica Fletcher wannabes and trying to solve crimes, and there is a railroad like exhibitor or enthusiast or something. I'm not into railroads, but like those little miniature ones, and so he ends up dead, and I guess they are the ones that find the body, them along with so there's no cats in this book, but they said that there's a Chiweenie in this book, which if you don't know what a Chiweenie is, they're very cute. It's a Chihuahua plus a half dachshund, so a tiny little dog. And so they are all trying to figure out who murdered this person, because the model train victim, I believe, is married to one of the book club members, and he also happens to be someone who cheats all the time. So in theory, we're not really too sad that he has been the victim in this book. The 5th book on the list is Claret in Present Danger by Sarah Fox. Now, this is number 4 in the Fox's Literary Pub Mysteries. Now, this pub is basically a bookstore where you can guzzle beer, belch beer, drink a lot of beer, get some more beer on tap. I don't know. I'm like not a beer drinker, if you can't tell. I find it repulsive and disgusting. However, this would be a great idea if you're like, I would like to read a book, but then my significant other can guzzle some beer and hang out and maybe watch. I imagine there's sports on the TVs, football, basketball, right? I've never seen a beer place without like sports all over the walls. So that way, I guess it's the best of both worlds. However, because I haven't read this series, I'm not really sure if that's the case. This beer guzzling book comes out on November 30th, and it is basically about Sadie Coleman, and I guess she had, something happen, and so she goes away to open up her own beer pub, and one of her employees has gotten in a fight with someone from the Renaissance Fair, and because of that, they're the prime suspect when that person has turned up dead. The 6th book on the list is Big Trouble in Little Greektown by Kate Collins, and Kate Collins is also the author of the Flower Shop Mysteries, which were on Hallmark. I actually have not read any of those books, but I did like those movies, and maybe it's because I'm a big Brooke Shields fan. But this is number 3 and the Goddess of Green Street Mystery. So this is about a single mom who, after her divorce, moved back home with her parents and helps them run their shop. She also has a pet raccoon, and it sounds like she has a boyfriend, and her and her boyfriend are out on a walk, and they stumble upon the body of a dead photographer. At the same time, it sounds like they're trying to also solve the mystery of a blogger who's anonymous. I don't know why. Maybe it's a blogger that says bad things about them. That wasn't really obvious. I'm not sure, but it sounds like 2 little mysteries going on at once in this book. And Big Trouble in Little Greektown also comes out on November 30th. The next one is A Time to Swill by Sherry Harris, and this is number 2 in the Chloe Jackson Sea Glass Saloon mystery. So it's another beer guzzling, beer belching mystery with a lot of beer. I can't even think of another word for beer. Pilsner, hops, I don't know, IPAs, whatever. It's what happens when you don't drink beer. You don't know anything about them. This book comes out on July 27th. It was mentioned by BuzzFeed Books, and it is also an Agatha Christie award-winning novel. This one is about a bartender who works at the Sea Glass Saloon in the Panhandle of Florida, which is basically the Pensacola area. So I guess it makes sense that she is a beer person because it's a dry county. I don't think there's any hard liquor. You can only, actually, I know that because my parents had like lived there for 20 years. So you can only get beer and wine. Anyways, she is out for a jog and she hears some crying from a boat. She goes in to investigate. It's actually a cat. And then she finds a skeleton in the closet, which I guess a skeleton, that thing's probably been dead for quite a while. So I don't know if this is like a cold case mystery. That one comes out on July 27th. The last book is The Pickwick Murders by Heather Redmond. And this is a historical mystery. I don't know if it's as much cozy as just a historical mystery, but I was very intrigued because it loosely follows the life of Charles Dickens as the main character. So Charles Dickens is about to publish his first book, The Pickwick Papers, which is true in his real life, and is fiance at the time, Catherine, also true in real life, is supposedly the only one that can help him. This is London, 1836. And so he's a member of this gentleman's club, which I think was normal back then. And so he goes into the gentleman's club, he goes into this dark stairwell, he finds the president dead, and now he's been accused of murder. And I believe he gets sent off to Newgate, which is the London prison at the time. If you recall, that's where they used to do public executions in London, and it was taken down, I believe, in 1905 and just never resurrected. What I thought was interesting is it was called the Pickwick Papers, but the real controversy behind the Pickwick Papers in real life is that the Pickwick Papers weren't even going to have Charles Dickens as the author. Back then, the illustrators were really important and they would pitch projects to the publishing house. And so the illustrator Robert Seymour had already had a string of successful publications. He asked for Charles Dickens to be added. This was going to be his first book ever, like Charles Dickens's first book. And he had so many changes and he tried to push Robert out, and I guess the guy, Robert, got so upset, he actually just killed himself after an argument with Charles Dickens in real life. And Charles Dickens not only didn't care, he also went on to just go ahead and publish in the book saying, all of the thoughts in this book and all of the stories are my idea, and they weren't this Robert guy's idea. And so, I mean, they were like just rubbing salt into the wound. So I thought when it said the Pickwick Papers, and it was like based on Charles Dickens's life, I thought it would kind of be based on that, because he's not a really likable character if you read his bio. Charles Dickens cheated on his wife with his wife's sister and also this other woman. So what happened was this other woman, Ellen, he had bought her a bracelet, and then instead of, I guess, how things work then, the bracelet got delivered to his house somehow on accident, like to my darling Ellen, who I love or whatever. And so his wife answered the door and opened it and obviously thought it was for her and then saw that note. So anyways, she ended up moving out, and they got separated. I don't know if they had divorced back then, but they separated, and then he went on and bought a brand new house with his girlfriend Ellen, who I guess probably got the bracelet as well. And so I thought the book was going to be about that controversy, not like, so this book is supposed to be 1836, like way back before him and Catherine were even engaged. And let's recap that list really quick, because that was a lot of books. The first one is Buried by the Sea by Kathleen Bridge, and this is number 5 in the By the Sea Mysteries that is in Florida. The second one is Whole Latte Murder by Lena Gregory, and this is number 5 in the All Day Breakfast Cafe series, and that's the one about the real estate investor, the realtor that goes missing. Number 3 is Death of an Irish Mummy, and this is number 3 in the Dublin Driver Mysteries. This takes place in Ireland, and it's about a limo driver and going to a church to look for DNA. Number 4 is Railroaded for Murder. This is the one that takes place in Arizona at a retirement home where they're trying to figure out who killed the miniature railroad enthusiast. And then number 5 is Claret and Present Danger by Sarah Fox. And this is number 4 in the Fox's literary pub mysteries, all about beer. Number 6 is Big Trouble in Little Greektown by Kate Collins. And this is number 3 in the Goddess of Green Street murders, where they just run across a dead photographer. Number 7 is A Time to Swill by Sherry Harris, and this is also a beer mystery. And number 8 is The Pickwick Murders, which is a historical mystery by Heather Redmond, and this is number 3 in the series, A Dickens of a Crime. No, number 4 in A Dickens of a Crime. I think that's the right one. All right. So that's the list for everything coming out in Kensington this year that I'm excited to read. Let me know in the comments below if you like Kensington books too, or maybe you don't even notice publishers. Like sometimes I don't even notice. I'm like, that was just a really good book. I don't even know who wrote it. I don't know who published it. I just like the cute kitty cat inside of it. Anyways, I hope everyone's having a fabulous day, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.